Greetings once again from Cooperstown, New York, site of the National Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum. We thank everybody for joining us today. It's a beautiful day in Cooperstown, whether we're outside or inside. It's very comfortable, and we're very glad to have with us our two latest guests as we continue with our summer virtual author series. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Bruce Marcuson. I work in the Hall of Fame's Education Department. But I plan to do relatively little speaking. I want to give as much time as to our two guests. First up, we have Cat Williams. She is the author of Isabel, Lefty, Alvarez, The Improbable Life of a Cuban American Baseball Star. Cat has also written The All-American Girls after the AAGPBL. And Cat has been a professor at Marshall University since 2001. Also joining us today, former Major League pitching star Luis Tiant, author of his autobiography, Son of Havana. Luis, a three-time All-Star, 3 times received Cy Young Award votes, won 229 games over a 19-year career with the Indians, the Twins, the Red Sox, the Yankees, Pirates, and Angels. Welcome to both Cat and Luis. Thank you both for being with us. We hope you're both doing well.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Thank you. Thank
Now,
you.
I know that you have done a radio program together, and you've sort of been billed together for this program as well. How exactly is it that you two came together for this project? Do you know each other from long ago, or is this a relatively new friendship? Let's begin with Kat.
Well, Bruce, long ago, I'm really not that old for this to have been a really old relationship. So I'm not nearly as old as Louis. So I just want to put that out there.
Thank you.
Yeah. And actually, we have only barely met, and we have met only virtually. I am as in awe of being on this virtual stage with him as most of the rest of you are to see him, I guess. This was a brainchild of a couple of dear friends, Louis' son and Donna Cohen, and so far it's worked out okay. We haven't annoyed one another yet.
Yeah.
And how about you, Luis? How are things going between you and Kat? Pretty well?
Oh yeah. Beautiful. Yeah. We're talking. We had the program the other day, and we have a good time. A lot of questions, a lot of answers, and a lot of interesting questions about, because I even know about the Cuban baseball player. My countryman lady. I don't know to now. That's the first time I hear from them. Danny showed me the book, and then I talked to him, and that's a great thing to happen. It made me feel good. Have a Cuban lady who used to play professional. I don't know that. That's a good thing. Good for baseball, for us. What's that?
It's been a learning experience for you. You were not previously aware of Lefty Alvarez.
No. The first time I hear from them. Because my son asked me, "You know this lady?" I said, "No." I don't know, I never hear. So I don't think we never talking about her. I don't think not too many main players, professional player, Cuban player know her. Especially in my time. And then I think she's younger than me.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to learn a lot more.
I don't know. I never heard her, because the thing is that, like anything that happen all the time and be happening for years. Woman, people come in the last, they discriminate women, and then the stupid thing they do to women, that's just wrong. I think we, especially men, we forget one thing about life. We coming for a woman. You don't love a woman, okay, and you marry, I married with the one we married. I've been married 59 years. The other day, I was 12. 59 years we've been together. The woman working maybe more than we do. Really. And And I don't know why we got that saying in the mind. I don't know if we want to be a macho man, we want to think that we're better than them. No, we're not better than nobody. You know, I think abusing women do things, you know, to me that's wrong. I think we have to understand one thing. We're coming for a woman. You don't love your wife or your girlfriend. You don't love your mother, okay? Because we coming for a woman, and that's a problem with that. And they let it pass, they let it go. Nobody talking about it. Like I said, that's the first time I hear from her, and I really appreciated that, and that's a great thing to happen. You know, to at least I get to know her in the book, and and I mean, I listen to Ken when they're talking about it. The only thing we talk about in the meeting in the show the other day, and that's a great thing. That's a good thing to happen. I mean, I see the movie, you know, the professional woman. I see that movie. It's great. A lot of those girls, they can play.
Yeah.
You know, what you can matter.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, Louis.
I had to say that because you know what? I think that we are wrong. I don't care what men thinking. I know we know every man do that, but the one that do, they're wrong. Okay, and we have to appreciate a woman because we live with them when we marry, or we are a boyfriend or girlfriend, whatever, and then we marry them, and then in the pro we coming for a woman. We should love woman, you know. We're not to hurt a woman. I think it's a wrong thing to have. And we should give it the place they belong, the place they deserve. Because the woman working hard, okay? And then you marry, you got a baby. So who take care of your babies? Your wife, okay? And if you go out, you might go and making the money to support your family, but that's your job. And I know it's a woman job, but sometimes, you know, they got 4 or 5 kids, and who's gonna take care of that? You know, that's crazy. But that's the way. Let a man think that way. You know, I don't put your finger in the man either, because I know everybody the thing. I know a lot of men that love the wife, they love the mother. You know, but those crazy people we have it sometimes. You see, beat the wife, beat that. You know, that's crazy. I don't think there's a. They should do one thing. I swear to God. You hit your wife, your hand should drop. I'm telling you right now. No, seriously. Because it's wrong. You know what you do. You don't hit your wife. You don't hit a woman. You don't discriminate the woman. You know, and that's the problem we have. All the discrimination, black and white, woman, they, you know. Why?
I want to talk to Kat about Isabel Lefty Alvarez, because she's not that well known, and I think this book will change that. If I'm not mistaken, Kat, Isabel was the first or the youngest Cuban to play in the All-American Girls League. She did not speak English, and she was all of 16. Can you confirm all of that is true? And if it is, this must have been terrifying for her. Under the circumstances.
Yeah. Well, yes, I will talk about those things, but I just want to quickly say to Louis, I really appreciate you saying those things about women playing baseball, and especially Lefty. You did not meet Lefty, and I'm sorry for that. Lefty suffers from dementia, but rest assured, she knew you. And she was very proud and said to me, I'm a big Cincinnati Reds fan, so that 1975 World Series, Louis, we should talk about that at some point. But I want you to know that she knew you, and she was very proud that you were both Cuban baseball players. Bruce, she was not the first Cuban. There were 4 of them that came together. Lefty was indeed 15. She had been recruited in 1947 when the All-Americans went to Havana for spring training, but she was too young. So they suggested she wait a couple of years, and she did indeed. She spoke no English. This was something that her mother wanted, and her mother helped get her on the Cuban team. And so Lefty tells a story about packing a suitcase, carrying a glove that someone gave her, and walking up the steps to the plane, never looking back. And what must that have felt like? She tried to explain it to me, but boy, I can't imagine. And I can't imagine what her mother was thinking, putting a 15-year-old on a plane and sending her to a country where she didn't speak the language. But Lefty was, as I say, one of 4 Cubans to play in the league. And she played, as I said, she came to the U.S. in 47 and then played from 47 to 54. But there was a year in there when she didn't play, but the range was 47 to 54.
Were there any interpreters in the All-American League? I mean, how was she able to communicate at all?
No, there were no interpreters.
No.
Fortunately, one of the other ball players, Cuban ball players that she became friends with, Merita, did speak some English, and that helped a little bit. That helped to even just learning a few words like bathroom and hamburger. I mean, something. And so she did have that, but this was hard. I mean, I can't even imagine at age 15. A lot of us have traveled to other countries where we don't speak the language, but generally as adults, and so she really struggled. But there were no interpreters. It was basically throw them in there and hope for the best.
Yep. I know what it is. I know the feeling about it.
Yeah, I bet you do.
Yeah.
Now, when you played in the major leagues in the 60s and 70s, Luis, no interpreters. The first person I ever remember who did this was a good friend of Roberto Clemente's. And by the way, this happens to be the anniversary of Clemente's birth. He was born on this date in 1934. It would have been 86. But Luis Mayoral was a very good friend of Clemente.
Luis, that's my brother.
You know him, yeah.
Remember.
He was an interpreter for the Texas Rangers. And he may have done this on an informal basis with Clemente and the Pirates. I don't know that he actually worked for the Pirates, but he was one of the first guys to provide kind of a liaison between the Latino ball player and the major league team. You never had that during your career.
No. Well, we come and say like my friend, my countryman. My girl, the same thing. We come here. I come here when I was going 19. But when I got out of Cuba, I was 17. I even was 17 because my father had to sign for me to go to Mexico and play 3 years in Mexico and then come in to the United States. And then it was easy time. Like people thinking, people. Sometimes that's why the reason I do the documentary about my life and I did the book about my life. Because some people, or people, most of the time, they don't know what they're talking about. They think they know you because they see you play, and you might do good or whatever, you're okay. But they don't know what you have to go through, And then I remember a lot of people all the time coming, "Oh, you're lucky you play baseball." Lucky? Are you kidding? Nothing to luck. I work for. Nobody give me anything. Okay, like I say, when I come in here, it was a terrible thing. What you have to hear every day. Every day. I mean, I tell you, I used to go to my room for almost a month and cry every night. Okay, cry every night because the things people used to calling you in the ballpark and you can do nothing. You can't even looking at the people, because you're looking and you say, no, you get in trouble. And it was a bad time, and then you're not speaking the language that much. My father sent me to in Cuba to American school. I was there for 2 years and I learned things, like a floor, table, ceiling, door, but not to have a conversation to anybody. you know. And then when I come in here, I forget about it, you know. Even the play. I mean, I remember you, man. I remember when the manager used to come into the mound and talk to me, you know. He go, blah, 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 blah. You know, the only thing I do is check in my head.
Yeah, you weren't sure what he was saying.
maybe he called me names. Maybe they call me anything. The only thing I check in my head. You know, I was okay. You know, and it's hard when you can understand all the people, the language, stuff. You know, that's no easy. That's no easy stuff for life for people. Sometimes people don't understand that part. You know, I mean, that's the best thing. You know, people have to go out where they are, go another country where they're not speaking your language. You see the other people, how they live, what they talk, and see how you feel.
Yeah.
You know, that's the thing about it. You know, and I don't know. I remember the player used to tell me, "Speak English. You're in America."
Yeah.
I said, "Look, this is a free country. I can speak whatever I want to speak. I know American. My language is Spanish.
Yeah.
You know, I'm gonna learn my English when I have my time. It takes time to learn English. You know, you're not gonna learn English just come in here and start speaking the language. Nobody can do that. You know, and then it takes me a little while to understanding more. You know how I learned it? Watching TV. Watching TV. You know, sometimes because the people see you or you don't speak English or you don't understand it, they think you're stupid or you're dumb. It's not. We don't have the same opportunity the American kids have. You can go to school, you can stay in school. We don't have those opportunities because I go to school to 12 years, 1 year electromechanic. But to go to college, it's hard for us because we don't have enough money to go to college.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the thing. People don't understand that thing. But I learned it. You know how I learned it? One word. I hear, or even the players, one word they say, I understand, the conversation, what they're trying to say. That's how I start learning. And then what I do, I try to learn maybe 1 or 2 words every day. You know, and then I'm coming and I'm not speaking perfect English, but I can go by now and listen and talking whatever it is, you know, and that's a good feeling when you can understand people. You know, like I said, they play what's in the clubhouse, they laughing. I laughing too. I don't know what they're talking about. You look at it crazy thing, but I did that. I told you. Everybody laughing.
I wanted to talk to you about your father. We have a picture of you on the screen with him from 1975. Some people may not be aware of just how great a pitcher your father was. He was not a right-hander like you. He was a left-hander. He was a standout in the Negro Leagues, and he pitched in some Latino countries as well, including Cuba. Tell us a little bit more about your father and your relationship with him.
Well, it was great, but, you know, a lot of time I don't see that much of my father to after he finished play, because he come into the United States. He played with New York Cuban for 25 years. And then he did like I did. Go after the season finished here, he go back to Cuba or Venezuela or Puerto Rico or Dominica, Mexico, and play winter ball. I did that the same thing. The only thing I did, I take my wife with me, my kid, most of the time. You know, I take my wife. And then when I can bring in what I used to do, I have a permission to go before Christmas. Like I said, the 22nd, 23rd, I go home. And those times I was living in Mexico. And I go home and then I stay there to maybe the 2nd of January, and then I come back to whatever I was playing, you know. But my father, he don't did that with us, my mother and me, you know. That they retired, I see more, but before I don't see him that much. But he was a good father. He good man, serious man. He too was serious. He used to like a dressing. He changed He put in 3 suits every day. Okay, 3 different suits every day and walking around the town. Around the no, sorry, yeah, walking around. He used to like a walker, and clean and shoes. You can look in the shoes and you can see your face. I said how shiny he did it. He do that thing.
Yeah.
Nobody do for him, you know. And like I say, he don't wanted me to play baseball. Okay, he wanted me to go to school.
Really?
And oh yeah, because I remember 1957, they have the juvenile World Series in Mexico City, and they give me the chance to go. They wanted me to go with the team, the Cuban team. And I told my mother, I told my father. My father said, no, you don't go nowhere. You're going to be in the school. You go to school. You don't go nowhere. And then because of my mother, that's why you have to love your mother. You have to love woman. My mother fight with him, and he told him, why not? You know, that thing don't happen all the time. Let it go. What's the difference? You're only going to be there for about 10 days, and he come back. He come back to school. You know, what's the difference? No. Finally, he let me go. You know, but he don't wanted me to go. And then he started watching me after that because his friends see me pitch. I used to pitch in the juvenile. I never pitched in amateur in Cuba. Juvenile, I jumped from juvenile to professional. And his friends told him all the time, hey, you better go watch your kid. He's good. And one day I see I was pitching in the stadium we play, and it was wide open. And then when you're looking at a home play, and the home play, they have a street in the back, and that's where the bus stopped. And I saw he get out of the bus.
Yeah.
And he hide behind the column. He don't want to see me. He don't want me to see him. And then I finished the game. I throw shit up. I see he coming across the street. Hug me and shaking my hand. And he said, good boy, good. You do a good job, you know. And after that, he telling me how holding the ball, how making the ball moving here and there, you know.
Yeah.
But before, he don't wanted me to play, you know. And then, you know, you're a young kid and your father play. And then he don't want you to play. You start go crazy. You say, well, why he play? Why you don't want me to play?
So, Luis, when you decided you wanted to leave Cuba to come to the U.S. in '61, I'm guessing he wasn't for that? He was against that idea?
No. After that, he signed my contract. When I signed to go to Mexico, I go Mexico City Tiger for 3 years. He signed my contract. I can sign. I only was 16.
Okay.
So my birthday November 23rd, and I had to report in February. You know, I had to go, and he signing everything. You know, and then, but he let me play. And I tell you, all those years I pitching. The first time he see me pitch was in 1975 World Series. Before, because I pitched before. When he coming before, he coming like in July. He see me pitch. Then he see me pitch in the World Series. You know, that's the first time he see me and my mother. Another thing is my mother, you know, a lot of those games in those years, in that year especially, 75, mostly Saturday game. I pitched in Saturday game. And that's was the TV game. They wanted to put him in TV. And then, you know, she told me when she coming back in 75, she told me that, you know, a friend of mine, Butcher, he have a TV, you know, in the black market. Because in Cuba, you're watching the United States baseball, they put you in jail, you know. And
really,
every time I go to pitch, he know. He sent somebody to my house in Cuba and telling my mother or father, your son gonna pitch it today. And she used to go over there and sit down in front of the TV. And every time he put my face in the TV, she go to the TV and touching my face, in my body, you know. And she told me those things. And you see, people don't understand. People sometimes just talk, but they don't know how people suffer in life, you know, and that's to me a suffer because yes, she told me that. I was crying after that because it's sad that happened to any human being. You can see your kid, you can see your mother, they die. You don't know. You maybe find out 2 weeks after they die. You know, you can come back, you can bury, you know. And that's when I see in 75, when they come into 75, you know, I ask God every day, please, let me see my father before I die. You know, because I see a lot of my friends, they die, their mom and dad die, and then they die like in here or whatever country they are out of Cuba, and they can come back to Cuba. You know, and I said, please don't let that thing happen to me, God.
Right.
Finally,
Just to clarify for our viewers, Luis
Mhm.
left Cuba in 1961, despite being told by the Castro regime that if you left, you could not come back. And he was all of 17 at the time. So to leave your family at a young age, to come initially to Mexico for 3 years before then settling in the U.S. was not an easy decision. And then in August of 1975, Luis was reunited with both his father and his mother. They were actually given a special dispensation or special approval by Castro, and they were allowed to come visit. And Luis's father actually stayed in the United States for the rest of his life. He passed away the following year, 1976. Kat, I want to talk a little bit about the relationship between Isabel Lefty Alvarez and her mother. Here we see Isabel with one of her teammates, Mirtha Marrero. But that was an interesting relationship too, because here Lefty was very attractive.
Yeah.
Her mother wanted her to be in beauty pageants.
Right.
Didn't necessarily want her to play baseball, and sort of like Luis's father.
Well, you know, the part of it, the situation was very different for Lefty. First of all, we're talking about the situation of gender and the difficulty of a girl, a young woman, having to make decisions about her future. Lefty's family life was very difficult a lot of the time. Her father worked for Batista, and many years later, her brother was a supporter of Castro. And so there were, and that sort of bookends the family dynamic. Lefty's mother wanted nothing more than for Lefty to be respected and middle class and not live in poverty, because her mother lived in abject poverty as a young woman, as a young girl. And so she sought these different ways to get Lefty out of poverty and eventually out of Cuba. She started with, and Lefty was, if you can see from the cover of the book particularly, she was stunningly beautiful. Her mother entered her in a beauty pageant and didn't even tell Lefty that she was doing that. And it became very clear very quickly that for Lefty, that was not something she was interested in, but she was a good athlete. And it wasn't just baseball. She played volleyball, she played soccer, she fenced, she was a very good athlete. And so her mother did indeed see that and recognize it. And of course she loved baseball. Her whole family loved baseball. So Lefty played baseball mostly on the street with the kids in the neighborhood. And so her mother really did eventually figure out, this may be Lefty's way. And let me just clear up, they of course called her Isabel. When I started talking to Lefty about writing this book, I asked her, how do you want me to refer to you? And she said, Lefty is the nickname that my teammates gave me. And I was never really myself until and then later when I reconnected with them. So people should know me as Lefty. So that's why I refer to her as Lefty. But her mother understood that Lefty was a good athlete and that baseball might just be her way out, and in part because she got word that a man named De Leon, who was a businessman in Havana, was putting together a girls' or women's team that was sort of patterned after the All-Americans. They wore the same uniforms, the dress, as you can see in that picture, and they played by the same rules. So she got Lefty a tryout, and she tried out and she made the team. And so the push then was on for Lefty to play baseball. And again, it was very different than Luis' experience, obviously, because first of all, we're talking about a different time period, but also this was about getting this young woman a future. And as a young woman, and as a young woman who had only a 6th grade education, she didn't have a lot of options. And so baseball became that way out for her.
Kat, tell us the story about how you and Lefty first met. I heard it the other day on a recording from the Sabre conference a few weeks back. It's very, it's rather hysterical.
Well, and believe me, it's so Lefty. So in 2003, actually, it was after a trip to the National Baseball Hall of Fame and a conversation with Tim Wilds, who worked in the archives, of course. He suggested to me, I was doing some research, and he said, oh, you know, the All-Americans have a Players Association, and they have a reunion every year. This happened to be 2003, which was the 60th anniversary of the All-Americans. And I said, oh, I don't know. He said, no, go. They're very welcoming and what. So I went, and I was terrified. I was absolutely terrified. I walked into the lobby of this hotel, and there were all these older women, gray hair, everybody's talking at the same time, and people are running around everywhere. And I just stood there. I did not know a soul. And I was just standing there, and all of a sudden, this short, gray-haired, bubbly, and I don't know how to explain her anyway, but bubbly, woman runs up to me and taps me on the shoulder, and she said, have you seen Jane? And I turned around and I looked into the face of Isabel Alvarez, and I said, oh, I don't know Jane. And before I could really complete the sentence, she said, oh, holy cow, there she is over there. Here, carry this for me, follow me. And I okay, so she handed me her suitcase, and I followed her across the lobby, and we approached this woman who was, you know, a little more confident, looks like she was in charge. And we walked up to Jane Moffett, who was indeed in charge. She was the vice president of the Players Association. Now, Jane didn't even look at me. She looked directly at Lefty, and she said, who's this? And Lefty said, I don't know. She had a nice face, so I thought she could carry my luggage. And I'm still standing there, and I am old enough to remember Candid Camera. And so I'm standing there in that lobby going, okay, what is going on? Where's the camera? And so before Jane could say anything else, I hear from behind me, I don't know, Jane, she does have a nice face, and she's got a funny name, Kit Kat. And I turned around and I looked into the chest, basically, of 6 foot tall Baines Reisinger, who called me Kit Kat, by the way, until 2008 when she passed away. She said, yeah, she does have a nice face, Jane, and she could probably carry your luggage too. At that point, all 3 of them walked across the lobby, leaving me carrying Jane's and Lefty's luggage. And that was my first experience meeting Lefty. And it, you know, when that was over, I went up to my room and I called home and I said, you know, those moments where something happens to you and you think, oh my God, my life is never going to be the same. I just had one of those moments. And that was in 2003. And in 2020, I can tell you, my life has not been the same. And it has been amazing. It has been enriched from knowing those women. They have carried me and I have carried them, and we will continue to do so.
Kat, if you ever decide to write your own autobiography, I have the perfect title, From Bellhop to Biographer. So,
you know what? Let me tell you something. I continue to be their bellhop. Don't think for 1 second that now at age 62, I'm not still carrying their luggage, because I am. And if they ask, I do it.
Yeah. But how long after that initial encounter did you broach the subject of maybe writing a full-length book about Lefty?
Well, it was actually some time after that. I continued from that year on. I went to the reunions. I got to know many of the ball players personally. And Lefty and I became friends. And I have always had a love for and an appreciation for Cuban culture, Cuban history, the history of their sports, all of it. And so knowing that Lefty was from Cuba, we would sit and she would tell me stories and tell me stories. And it was another ball player, my dear friend Maybelle Blair, who said to me, called me out of the blue one day. And this story is in the book. She called me out of the blue one day and she said, Kat, you got to write Lefty's story. And so she poked and prodded and pushed, and finally I did. But it was several years before I got down to writing the book. And part of it too was Lefty was resistant. When the subject first came up and I approached Lefty about it, she said, oh no, you don't want to write about me. I'm nobody. I'm not, you need to write about Dottie Kamenchak, or you need to write about, one of the superstars of the league. And I said, no, Lefty, that is exactly why I need to write about you, because you represent the part of baseball that most of us understand. Most of us are not Luis Tiant. Right? Most of us love the game, and we play the game because we love it and because that game is a part of our very being. And that was true for Lefty. And so when I was able to convince her that it wasn't about her being a superstar or not, it wasn't really even about, in some ways, what she did on the field. It was about the importance of baseball to her life. It was about the importance of baseball to the lives of the thousands and literally millions of young girls and women who know her story and the story of those ball players, and for whom this is their history, So she was resistant at first, and I'll be the first to admit, and as will Lefty, she was not a superstar. Lefty was a good ball player, but she was not a superstar. And to me, that's one of the many things that makes this book so important.
Yeah. Well, sometimes the non-stars have the most interesting personalities and backstories. Luis, I want to talk to you a little bit, and this is actually a question that comes from somebody Saul Wisnia. Saul wants to ask, how is it that you were able to stay in touch with your parents during that 14-year period from 1961 to 1975? Obviously, there was no email. How did you guys keep in touch, or did you keep in touch at all?
I call him. I used to call him.
Yeah.
Sometimes he sent me a letter, but the problem with the letter was they opened it. Okay, mine coming from United States to Cuba, and the Cuba coming to United States, they open it. And you say something in there, it don't belong in there. They throw them away. You don't have it. You're not gonna have it. But I used to call it. We used to call. I call it maybe about 10 days. 15 days, depending, because in those years, we're not making that much money.
Yeah.
And then, but I call them. I want to know how they do. I send them money to them and everything, and I want to know what's going on between, because, my mother and my father, they show me love, show me be a good person. They educated me, home education, and showed me respect. And that's why I did what I did, okay? Because then, and it's something, you can't forget your parent. I don't care. Even, like sometimes, we say, well, your parent know what to go, they might left to you, whatever, you have to love your brother, and I think I believe in one thing: God making us to love each other, to care for each other, to hate it. I believe in that word that you get them out of the dictionary. Hate. You don't have to hate nobody. How you gonna hate me? You don't see me. You don't know who I am. See I a good person, I a bad person, I stupid, or I bad, or I a genius. You don't know. Then you hate me because you just see me. And that's the sense. All the time I got in my mind, in my head, I teach my kids the same way. you know, and it hurt, and then I am the only child. I don't have no brother, I don't have no sister, you know, and like I say, I see all those things that happen to my friends, you know, the parent dying and stuff like that, like I said to you before, and then, you know, you someday you expect that maybe it can happen to you, you know. But I was lucky enough, like I said, I had the same guy every day of my life. They're bringing my parents, man. They even know my wife. They even know the grandkid. You know, my mother coming to Mexico in 1968 in the Olympics, and she stayed there for 3 months. She lived with us in Mexico, and she met my wife and 2 kids. And then she had to come back because they don't let my father coming at the same time. He had to stay in Cuba. And then after that, I don't see my father for about 14, 15 years.
Yeah.
And,
what was it like for you, Luis? What was it like for him to see you pitch, not only pitch in the World Series, but pretty much dominate the Big Red Machine? That must have been incredible.
I know.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, I mean, I remember him. He used to sit down behind the home plate. They put him behind the screen. My mother and him, and my son, godfather, and the wife, and my wife, they sit down behind the home plate and the screen. And I used to go, you know, I look in the catcher, the signs, and I see them over there all the time. I watch it. And then every time I do something good, I'm looking around. He stand up, and you can see the smile, big smile. And those years, you know, you kind of smoking in the park, smoking cigarette all the time. And they have a little hat. They have a little hat, put him on all the time, you know. And I can see how happy he was, you know. And I know the least, you know, I miss him for those years. They miss me. So we finally together, get together and live together. It live 15 months. That's all. I live together with them, live with the family, only family together. And then they pass, but we giving everything. And those 15 months, they have any more than never have in their life. You know, we take him out, we do this, we used to do well. In the World Series, every game we play in Boston, we used to have a party after the game. Every game we play. And you're talking about parties. You're talking about just a night away here. No, parties. We used to have party in my house. Everybody go home maybe like at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning next day.
Yeah.
You know, eat, dancing, play pool. You know, we have a good time. Oh, a lot of my friends, you know, and they have a good time. I mean, and I don't think they have that for a long time. And at least they with me, they see me again. They might think in the same way I was thinking. I might not see them anymore, you know, and then maybe they think in the same way. And then finally we get together, you know, and that's was the best thing that happened to me.
Do you think you pitched better because they were around? You know, 1975 and 76 were 2 of your best years ever with the Red Sox.
No, what? You know, I know my father. Okay, I know my father well. And like I said to you, he was a tough man, serious man. He was a bad man. He is quiet. He not talking that much. You know, he looking. And he had to smile. He smiled, but he was more serious than anything else. Sometimes I used to be scared. Look at him and say, what's the matter? He mad? No, but he was good. He was a good man. He was a good man. And,
he was serious. He was professional about things. He was serious.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I guess he wanted you to be serious as well. And on the mound, you definitely were.
What I know, the players play with him, and they used to come in the winter ball. When I used to play winter ball, I used to be some of my managers, some of my coaches, and they used to tell me, you know, your father was like a lady, nice. My father never drinking when he played. He used to go to bars, he used to go place, and he drinking milk. Okay, he not drinking. No, sorry, he not drinking alcohol. He drinking milk.
Yeah.
Okay, and then after he finished, because he was mad with the team, they don't sign him. Because he have the best year. The last year he played here, he win 10 games and don't lose any game. And when they go to Cuba, they let it go. And he was upset, and then he started drinking a little bit. But you know, he never was drink. He never drink. He never drink. You know, and like I say, what I heard too, the just player told me, you know, I miss Sancho Pay, I miss Alex Smith, I miss lot of guy. Oh, what's his name? Newcomb.
Don Newcomb.
John
Yep.
Newcomb. Yeah, Larry Doby played with him against him. You know, and he, you know, and he played the Cuban coaches in the winter. Coach me, managed me. He used to tell me, "No, you good, but your father was better than you." they used all those guys, not just one, all those guys. Cocaina Garcia, he used to left-handed pitch. You know, he used to tell me that, you know, you was good, but your father was better than you. You know, and that's a good thing. I like that. At least, I don't want to say your father was a no good man. He do this, you know. I like that. Made me feel good. At least I know he do something, accomplishment, something good in life. You know, and that's why when I make it to the
Was he upset about the fact that he couldn't pitch in the major leagues simply because of the color of his skin? Bitter about that? Did that really burn at him?
Well, you know what? Let me tell you the truth is he never talked to me about that. Never mentioned to me anything about it. The only thing, that's one of the reasons he no wanted me to play baseball.
Yeah.
He wanted me to go to school because all the things he go through when he played. You know. I mean, he suffered. All those people, all of the Negro League players, they all suffered all those years. You know, and like I said, the only thing he used to tell me, they play 3 games a day sometimes.
Yeah.
And they're making 50 cents a game. Okay. And then they got to go to all those towns, all those cities. They don't like it. Color people, you know, and they hollow them, and they were miserable for them, you know. And then but he never mentioned to me nothing about that, you know. And then when I come in here, then I start realizing that's why the reason my father wanted me to be a ball player.
Yeah.
You know, because it was trouble. It's a trouble thing in life. You have to go through that in life. You know, like people don't think you are a human being. That's bad. That's a bad feeling, but, you know. And you still see now something happening and say, you know, do me. And the problem with that is, I never was raised in my life. I'm not gonna die racing. You know, I know. I don't care about who you are, what color you are, what you do. You got money, you poor. I don't care. You know, I teach in the same way I teach it to my kid. You know, and I get along. I try to get along with everybody. And I'm not a hypocrite. I told them people, I don't like you. I don't like you. You know, but I'm not telling people, oh, I like you, and then I go back and stab in the back. See, I don't like that. I think it's cheap and not good. You know, when you do those things, you're not a good person, you know. And that's the thing. And then you come in, and then you're looking and you see all the things they do to you because they color your skin and stuff like that, you know. Things that happen now, all the things that be happening. You know, it's crazy. It's crazy how the world thinking. But one thing I tell you the truth. I'm going to tell you that from my heart. You know, people have to understand it. If we know our life, God owns our life. No matter you black, you white, you Chinese, you Japanese, you Indian, you're American Indian, no matter. We're all gonna go. No matter how cute you are, no matter how pretty you are, no matter how much money you got, you're gonna go down like everybody else. and we don't know when. See, that's the one thing God make it easy for everybody. That's what people have to realize. And people have to realize that you can live with my parts, with my heart, with my kidney, with my lung, with my liver, or I can live it with you. You can live with my blood. See, people understand that. I think it's the people relax and they really do a little observation around what life is. I don't think if people be the way they are.
Yeah.
Because you don't know. And I tell you what, you can have $1 trillion and you get a heart attack in here. Nobody around you here, you die like a dog. You know, you have to have somebody around you. They can call it a 911 or maybe give you mouth to mouth and saving your life. Because people don't understand those parts. You know, and then when you see people do things like they've been doing it, like it have been happening all those years, you know, it's crazy. It can make me feel bad in the way I never was racing. And you're looking at it, one thing, and I'm going to mention to you, and you should know, a lot of, you know Rock Carew.
Sure.
Okay, well, Rock Carew, he living with the heart of the white kid.
Mm.
Okay? He have a heart transplant. And you know what? How lucky he was. The mother, the kid have an accident and he died. And she looking for somebody to do something in life, no anybody. Somebody do a good life, be a good person. And she found out about Carew. And she offered the heart to him, okay? And the kidney and the liver. You know what? The machine he had, okay, he was living with them, all the features thing. He only got it 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, he don't find the heart, he died. Okay? In 2 weeks, before the 2 week coming, they find a heart. And she give it to him, you know, and then he still live, you know, and that's where you look in those things. That's where you have to look at it and say, man, that's strange, but that happened, you know. And that's what life is. That's why we say we should look for each other, don't hate each other, looking for each other. You don't have to kiss nobody back or anything like that, but you should be friendly with people. What they take you? You don't take you anything out of your pocket. You know, you say hi, whatever, you know, and then you can help somebody you do. And that's me. I do that all my life, okay? And that's when I see things that happen, I get upset because, like I say, I know a racist person. You know, my best friend here in Massachusetts, he's white. He passed away last year, okay? Paul Medici, he passed away. You know, he was my best friend. Okay? This is like my brother. Okay? And I don't care. I don't care if you, like I said, you're Chinese or you're Japanese or whatever, you know, white. But, you know, my wife adopted a white kid, Italian kid. We adopted him. His father used to be a policeman. He took care of us. And the time we come in here, and the mother died of cancer. And he wanted to come in with us. Okay. And my wife, we adopted him. He's now like a 61 or something like that. He got 2 girls, got a grandson. And he go to Mexico, where I used to live there, stay in my house. And he married with a Mexican girl. You know, and all these things, you look at it, how it happened. You know, we don't know. We don't know. And that's the thing you have to do. What do you think you have to do? You know, don't looking back. Don't look at somebody, oh, you think, what are he going to think? Well, I don't care what people think.
Yeah.
I want to say to you, I want to live my life the way I want to live my life. I don't care about anybody else living their life. Whatever you want to do, you want to be drunk every day, you want to have a drug, you want to steal things for people at the store, that's your problem. We have it 2 ways in life. Or you be good or you be bad. You can be in the middle. When you be in the middle, you are a hypocrite.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have just a few minutes remaining with Luis
Yes,
Tiant and Cat Williams, authors of these two books. Luis has written with Saul Wisnia, Son of Havana, and Cat has written Isabel, Lefty, Alvarez, The Improbable Life of the Cuban American Baseball Star. If you have questions for either of them, please jump onto the Zoom group chat, type in your question. We'll see if we can squeeze it in. While we're waiting for a question, I want to ask you, Cat, a follow-up about Jane Moffett,
Sure.
somebody that we knew really well here at the Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
Sadly, she recently passed away.
she
She was
did.
very active in the reunions that were held here in Cooperstown, and
Right.
she ended up being a very strong influence on Lefty Alvarez as well.
Yes, she did. And they were both quite young when they joined the league. And Jane tells a story about them, her showing up, and they told her to go upstairs to a certain room. And she walked in, and there were the four Cuban girls, and their clothes hanging everywhere, their stuff spread everywhere, speaking a language Jane didn't understand. And from that moment on, it seemed that there was a bond. And so Lefty and Jane were lifelong friends. Lefty referred to Jane as her counselor, and at one point checked into a hotel at one of the reunions and said, I need to be next door to Jane Moffett. So when she checks in, make sure she's next to me because she's my counselor. Mm-hmm. Well, later in the day, Jane checked into her hotel and the person at the desk said, oh, you're Miss Alvarez's counselor. We make sure that we put you next to her. And Jane was just like, what? But they were very close. Jane was very protective of Lefty, and they remained close until Lefty started suffering from dementia. Yeah. And as you say, Jane passed away a few years ago. Jane was a force in so many ways, and I'm really honored to say she was my dear friend.
You mentioned that Lefty is not in good health. You haven't communicated with her for a while as a result?
No, I have not. In fact, the last time I saw her was at the property dedication of the International Women's Baseball Center. She was there with the caregiver, and she was, it was hard then, but she was there, and that was the last time I saw her. So it has been a few years. Fortunately, I had almost 10 years of, conversations and interviews and emails and phone calls and all kinds of exchanges with Lefty. But one of the saddest things about this for me is that when they sent me the cover of this book, it took my breath away. Because it was so stunning, and the photograph is so beautiful, and Lefty doesn't know it. Right? Yeah. It's as Louis was saying, we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know how things are going to end, or the people we're going to meet, or the chance meetings, or any of that. And so for me, this was a bit of a bittersweet thing. I wish I had been able to finish this when Lefty could be on this call with us, because how much fun would that be?
You're pretty confident, though, she'd be pleased with the final product?
I think she would. I hope so. I believe she would. I hope I did her justice. One of the reasons that the beginning of my book is so heavy on Cuban history is because Lefty really wanted people to know, I am a proud Cuban American. Lefty became an American citizen, and that was one of her proudest accomplishments. But she is also very clear, has been very clear, that she is a proud Cuban American, and she comes from what she calls good sporting stock, and of course considers Louis part of that as well.
I'd like to remind all of our viewers about these two books. Both have received rave reviews, wonderfully favorable reviews on Amazon, and also from professional literary reviewers as well. Both of these books highly recommended by us here at the Hall of Fame as well. Again, the book written by Cat Williams, Isabel, Lefty, Alvarez, The Improbable Life of a Cuban American Baseball Star. You can purchase it by going to the Nebraska Press website. It's up on the screen, and that's nebraskapress.unl.edu. You can also purchase it on Amazon as well. And if you do a search for Cat's name, there's another Cat Williams running around there. So put in Cat D Williams.
Yes,
and that will help you get to the book. So we want to point that out.
Right.
And then, of course, Luis's book with Saul Wisnia, son of Havana, A Baseball Journey from Cuba to the Big Leagues and Back. This is a different publisher, but still very worthy. It's diversionbooks.com. Diversionbooks.com. You can purchase it there, or you can, again, purchase it at Amazon.com. As far as we know, there's only one Luis Tiant writing, so you don't have to use a different initial with that. We want to thank you both for being with us. Tremendous luck with these books. They're both excellent and really a worthy topic as they talk about the culture of living in Cuba and then making that not so easy transition to life here in America. Congratulations to both of you, Cat and Luis. Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you so much, Bruce. Thank you, Louis. Always, it's good to see you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you,
Thank
Cat.
you for giving me the chance.
We hope you've enjoyed our program today, our virtual author series with Luis Tiant and Cat D. Williams. We will continue our author series a little bit later on this month. We're still working on the details of some future programs, but we've got more on the way. And of course, we've got other programs that are coming up as well. Hope you had a chance to watch our event with CC Sabathia on Sunday during the 100th anniversary celebration of Negro Leagues Baseball. We've got celebrations of Roberto Clemente, more Ask the Expert programs, and more virtual curator spotlights, all on tap over the next several months. Thanks for joining us today in Cooperstown. Have a great day, everyone.